Do you like the idea of a government job, but you want to make sure you're getting paid decently? Not all government agencies pay the same. So let's go over some of the agencies that pay the best and some that pay the worst. When you think of a government job, most people think of the GS pay scale. That is because 70% of all government jobs, they fall under GS. Now there's other grades out there. There's CG, NH, GG, AD. There's just a lot of acronyms that are thrown out there, but for the most part, people are thinking GS. Then there are government corporations such as the FDIC and the Security Exchange Commission. These are government-owned corporations. They pay more than GS. So a GS currently tops out at $183,000 a year, where if you look at the FDIC, you have CG positions that are well over $200,000 a year. A lot of positions in the FAA pay more than the GS scale, so you'll have positions that top over $200,000 a year also. Then there are law enforcement positions in the government that will have a premium pay on top of your salary. And this is because you're on call 24/7 and your life could be put in danger. So for these reasons, you can see a boost in your pay. Outside of the pay band talk, there are two other factors that will impact your pay. The first one is annual bonuses, and the second one is overtime pay. So let's talk about annual bonuses. Not all agencies give them. Most of them do, especially the larger ones, because they have bigger budgets. And it's going to be a percent. They're going to look at everyone in that office, see what they're rated as. So are you rated as excellent or outstanding? You'll probably get a larger percent. And they'll determine who gets what. So you could see, let's say, $2,000, $3,000 a year. If you're a GS-15, maybe if you're an SES, you could see upwards of $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 a year, depending on the agency. You could even see more than that. And it's not just annual bonuses. Sometimes they'll come around quarterly, or they'll come around twice a year. And this, once again, comes down to your performance, the performance of the other people in your office, and what your agency is willing to do. Now, when it comes to overtime work, this is agency dependent once again. With overtime, you can make a lot more money, but not every agency has it within their budget to give you overtime. There's some agencies, some offices that encourage it. Like, hey, we want you to get a lot of stuff done. If you need to work on Saturday, just submit a request, let me know, I'll approve it, not a problem. Then you're making more money. Other agencies, they're like, don't you dare work overtime. You need to clock out at the exact time you're supposed to leave. Okay, so every year there's a list that comes out. It ranks the federal agencies on a lot of different factors. Thankfully, they have one factor, which is pay. So they ask people, how satisfied are you with your pay? I sorted this category and looked through the list. So the top 5 large agencies that have the highest ranking on pay are NASA, the intelligence community, defense agencies, HHS, and the Department of Transportation. Now, the bottom 3 that rank the worst for pay include the Department of Justice, the Department of Homeland Security, and the Department of Agriculture. Okay, so let's take a quick look at the medium-sized agencies. The top 5 for pay when it comes to medium-sized agencies are the National Science Foundation, General Services Administration, HUD, Nuclear Regulatory Commission, and the EPA. The bottom 3 federal agencies that are medium-sized are National Credit Union, Consumer Financial Protection, and the Federal Trade Commission. Now, I was surprised to see the Department of Justice on the bottom because there's so many other bureaus that fall underneath the Department of Justice. You have the FBI, you have the CIA, you have so many agencies down there. And a lot of them are law enforcement. And we just talked about premium pay for law enforcement. So it's kind of a head scratcher. People aren't that happy at the DOJ when it comes to their pay. So the main reason I focused on large and medium agencies, that's where the opportunities are. That's where you should be trying to get into. Now, if you're not happy with your pay, if your compensation is not adequate, you don't have to stay there. Whether you're in a private job, whether you're in the military, or even in the government, you don't have to stay at your agency. You can always apply to move out. In fact, in the federal government, every 12 months, you're eligible for the next GS grade. So there's a lot of good reasons to go ahead and get out of that agency, start applying. It will also come down to what stage in life are you? What's important for you right now? Is it pay? Is it benefits? Maybe it's a mix of both of those. You have to figure it out. If you're not in the government yet, what you need to do is look at the pay chart and see what is the lowest GS grade that you should be applying to. If you need a GS-12 to make ends meet, do not apply to GS-11. Because what ends up happening is people just apply all over the place, and then they do the interview, they get the final job offer, and they realize, oh no, the agency's not negotiating with me. I can't accept this. I need more money. And it's not really the agency's problem at that point. They can negotiate with you, but you could end up wasting everyone's time to include yours. Now with pay, this is a hot topic in Congress. I mean, you have congressmen on both sides that are saying, we're getting paid too much, or government employees are not getting paid enough. There's a huge gap with certain industries in the private sector. We need to close the gap. What about the budget? We're going to default on the budget. It's always talked about, and it's even amplified when there's a new presidential administration coming into office. You also have to understand that we're not going to see salaries ever match the IT giants like Amazon, Apple, or Tesla. They're never going to exceed the 200,000 mark. Not in the next 4 or 5 years. It's going to be hovering around the $200,000 mark. So if you want to make more than that, if you have the ambition to really get out there and make $400,000 or $500,000 a year, you're not going to find those opportunities in the government. You probably should be looking in the private sector. The only rare exception is the doctors. I mean, if you look at the highest paid federal employees, a lot of times you'll see a whole bunch of doctors that making about $400,000 a year, maybe in the low 400s, so 420, 430, something like that. But it's still overall, it's rare to see. Okay, so if you're ready for a new federal government job, but you've been frustrated with the hiring process, it's kind of hard to figure out the federal hiring process. If you want some tips to help you get referred and interviewed a lot more, I want you to watch this video next. If you would like to see more videos like this, please click like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.